I love that you're doing this because I know people need to hear these stories. Hi, I'm Madina Alam, and this is the side you don't see.
I think people watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette and they say, these people are gorgeous.
hmm
But there's a side that people don't see. Were there tough times after or even during the show?
I had opened up about the pressure. My literal statement is I feel pressure as a 31-year-old to get married. And people did not like that I said that. They told me that I'm beautiful, I should own it. Joey wouldn't care. They basically told me not to have my feelings around it because of the way I looked. I was just expressing something that I thought people would be able to relate to. And people got really upset over it.
Reality TV show has to take a toll on you.
I was getting a lot of online bullying. I think too, even as a therapist, like one of the I hate when people tell me this. Like people telling me you shouldn't be a therapist, you need your own therapy. You look like a man, like someone should punch you in the face, like awful things that in theory you think wouldn't upset you because you're like, oh, it's someone in their mom's basement, they're a loser. But when you're getting thousands of messages, that was really hard for me. I remember I was like crying, I would be crying in between sessions because and then I'd have to like literally wipe my tears to go be someone's rock because I had to like I turned my Instagram off actually and I took off the commenting. And I know I'm not the only person on the show that has to go through this. And I don't want to pretend that I am. I think a lot of us wind up getting it. That was just like a very like eye-opening moment, like when I look back at it, like how much we tend to like as humans like push our emotions down even when something like clearly very traumatic is happening. I remember my producer saying like no one wants to see someone self-conscious on TV, and at that moment I was like, what the is this world? We're all self-conscious. To me, this realization of how unaware people are of themselves, because if my insecurity bugs you, it's probably because you also have that insecurity. So I kind of launched this saying like, say how you feel, it's sexy, because I just find that we're still so behind on times of like vulnerability and like people are like just always be confident, and I think it just creates like this toxic environment where everyone feels alone. I thought it was beautiful that I was being vulnerable and like gosh, like I was naive, and I think like as much as that time was really hard, I think it's helped me understand like where I think we do have to grow as a society. So beautiful if someone can be A, aware enough of their shortcomings or the things they need to work on, and B, vulnerable enough to share in hopes that maybe someone else feels less alone.
Do you remember the toughest point of your life that you had to overcome, and what was that?
2 years ago, I got a condition called rhabdo. It's a condition that you can get from working out too hard. What happens is your muscles are worked so hard that the proteins in the muscles break down and they go into your bloodstream. And then that body part will like swell. And then if it doesn't get treated, basically what happens is you go into kidney failure, considered a critical condition where like if it's not treated, you can die. I was like an athlete my whole life. Like I did basketball, soccer, track, like was pretty good at all the sports. Then I did 4 years of bodybuilding. So like a pretty in shape person, I go to this like new trainer. It was pull-up day. So we did a lot of pull-ups. And if you look at the research, a lot of rhabdo is actually caused by too many eccentric pull-ups specifically. So I always like to give people that information because I'm like, if you do eccentric pull-ups, like be careful. So anyway, I go to this workout, we're working out, and I'm like in the middle of, I'm like, oh my God, my arms are like, they hurt so bad. But I just thought I was like swole. Like I was like literally like I couldn't bend my arms. And I was progressively getting more and more sore as the days went on. And my arms were like getting bigger. And then finally I get to the point where I like can't even take my shirt off because I can't lift my arms over my head. And they're like, that's an emergency, go to the ER right now. And I'm like, no, 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 it's just from a workout. And they're like, no, that's an emergency, like go right now. So this is the first moment where I'm like, and when I'm looking back at this, I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like I had 12 pounds of swelling in my arms and I'm like a relatively small person. Like my arm, I looked like Popeye. The doctors don't even know how I drove to the ER. So I get there and I go into the triage room and the nurse just looks at me and like gets up and like runs out. And I'm like, this is not good. The doctor comes to the triage room, like just pokes my arm. They're hard
Oh
because
my
there's so much fluid. Basically, he's like, I'm pretty sure she has rhabdo, like take her back now. 12 pounds of swelling in my arms. This is the first time I've told a story in a while, which has been nice. And it feels a lot easier to say than if you asked me this story like a year ago, because it was a really upsetting experience. Because I feel like not only for like the obvious reasons, but like working out has always been kind of like my safe haven. And, you know, I'll get to this part, but like it's just like you had to like I had to rebuild my relationship with working out after that. But the only way it's treated is through IV, and they couldn't find my veins because my arms were so swollen. So it's like At one point I had like, I think like 5 or 6 nurses around me. They kept poking me. They're like, fluid is just coming out of her. We can't find her veins. Ultrasounds on my arms to make sure there was no blood clots. And at this point, I'm pretty scared because I'm like, you don't know if your arms will ever go back to normal. You don't know if you'll have to be on dialysis. You don't know if you're going to have permanent disability. In the hospital for a week, I'm just on this IV. I have to like keep my arms elevated, iced the entire time. At this point, I can't even feed or bathe myself. I finally went outside and I just remember like collapsing on my dad's shoulder and just like bawling. And like I hadn't cried the entire time. And ooh, I'm getting a little emotional. But I feel like that was just like a very like eye-opening moment, like when I look back at it, like how much we tend to like as humans like push our emotions down even when something like clearly very traumatic is happening. And that's like something I definitely like learned from this situation, is to just like let yourself like have the emotion. Then I got out of the hospital and I had like a lot of like recovery. Like I couldn't, because once you get it, you're like more likely to get it again. And so I was very scared to work out, to be honest, which was very upsetting because like working out, like I had mentioned earlier, has been like always like, oh my God, I love working out. It's like the one thing that I can always go to when I'm not feeling good. And I felt like I had really gotten like robbed of that like very like intimate relationship I had with working out. And I had to like really like rebuild that. And then I had so much like anger towards the trainer. And so like those emotions were very like foreign to me. And I remember like leaving the hospital and I was just having nightmares like every single night of like beating the crap out of this trainer, which a lot of people think is funny when I tell them. But for me, like I don't like gory stuff. If people are fighting on TV, I'll like unconsciously close my eyes. It was like they were upsetting dreams to me. Being a therapist, I'm like, what would I have told a client to do? And I always tell my clients to do things that are important to them, even if they're scary. And so I like had an honest conversation with myself. Like I was clearly avoiding like talking to him. Like he knew it had happened. He actually came and visited me in the hospital. And I just like looked at him. And this is so not me, but I was like, you need to leave, like get out of here. Like I was so angry. I think a lot of times we're avoiding things because they're scary or they're uncomfortable, or we feel like they're not going to do anything to fix it. And I talk with my clients about this all the time. Like I remember I'm like, what is talking to him gonna do? Like, it's not gonna change the situation. I still have to freaking deal with this. Like, there's no point, right? And I was like, no, like your dreams are clearly telling you something. So I literally in that moment, I didn't even think about it. I got in my car and I drove to his studio. I didn't know if he was going to even be there. I didn't know if he was going to be available. And I literally just walked in. He happened to be there and he happened to be available. And I spoke with him and I told him, I was respectful, but I told him like how upsetting everything was. And just, I don't remember the exact contents of the conversation, to be honest, but I just remember like speaking my mind. The dreams went away, which I thought was like not a coincidence because I was having
Yeah.
them like every night, you know? So that was definitely a really eye-opening experience.
Is there something you do every day to keep you in a positive mindset?
What do I do to keep myself in a positive mindset? I don't know. This might be an unconventional answer. I try not to necessarily always have a positive mindset because I think we create a lot of unnecessary suffering for ourselves because we're trying not to have something that feels uncomfortable. I always tell my clients that no one's in therapy because of an uncomfortable emotion or a negative emotion. They're in therapy because they're trying to get rid of it versus just letting it be there. And so I try my best. Am I perfect at it? No, but I try my best to just let myself feel however I feel in that moment. And I don't know if you would consider that positive, but I think that's like how I kind of get through my days. As corny as it sounds, I would say like really understand who you are and let yourself be who you are. I think oftentimes we're trying to change ourselves and like kind of comparing what we want or what makes us upset or what makes us happy and trying to like compare it to like what's normal. Like people all the time are like, what's normal? And it's like, no, just own who you are and then find the areas or the environments or the people that work well with that. Like think of like relationships. I tell people this, like not to sound pessimistic, but people don't change. And oftentimes the issue in relationships is like it's not compatible. And it's not that one person or the other person's wrong or right. It's just not compatible. And so I think we spend a lot of time trying to change ourselves versus just trying to change maybe the people that we surround ourselves with. I love that you're doing this because I know people need to hear these stories.